Hi guys. So one of the biggest pain points in Kenya is succession, and it's a pain topic for many people. So to understand what succession is, there are two facets. One, testate succession, which there is a will left behind, and intestate succession, where there is no will. 99.9% or more in Kenya never leave a will behind. So in that case, the Kenyan law steps in and it ensures that there is a fair and transparent distribution of all assets of the deceased. So in this video, I'm going to be discuss about the step-by-step process, the documents required, the cost, and the time taken for intestate succession. I'm Miano Muthii, and welcome back to the channel. The first step you take is gathering all documents required. And what are these documents? The first document that you need is the death certificate of the deceased. This is the official proof to prove that has passed on. Yeah, hii ndo ID yake in this particular case. And then the second documents that you need are the passport photos, IDs, and KRA pin of the heirs and any interested parties. So who are these interested parties? Number one is the administrator, who may be one of the heirs, or in other cases, a trusted member of the family, or other cases, a lawyer or a legal professional. But we have had many cases in Kenya, like the Jagakarume's family, where the trustees of the will, the trustees left behind, they have some corruption scandals and some taking advantage of those people. So the best option is always to have one of the heirs, one of the nets of kins to take part as the administrator. The second interested party is the witnesses, who may be neighbors, friends, or close relatives of the heirs. Okay? Neighbors, friends, or close relatives, and there are two. They have another interested party, but this depends on the family. If in case the family is not well financially, they seek for financial aid. So if there is a financier and his compensation was to get part of the estate of the deceased, now he is included as a heir, and he is included as an heir and indicated that he is going to get part of the estate as a financier. So those are the interested parties. The third document that you need is a list of all assets and liabilities, be it logbooks, be it title deeds, be it SIM card numbers, be it accounts, anything the owner owned. Please make sure you have a list of them, because if you miss one, you shall have to repeat the whole process for that single item. And then it's good to make sure that if it's the RAD and vehicles that, or the logbooks, it's good to have an official search from the RAD registry and the NTSA section for it to at least ukue sure ni yake before you go to the next step. With the above documents, the next step you take is go to the chief's office. So in the chief's office, you're going to get an affidavit of nets of kin, and also a stamp to ascertain every agreement that you had with your family members. So let's assume that you have agreed this division yenye tutakuwa na kila mtu atapata a quarter acre, and your financial will get this, and there is an administrator is your firstborn, and you have two witnesses who are your neighbors. So all that information, the chiefs puts a stamp and ascertains it's the truth and it's what is there. So with that, you get an affidavit of nets of kin plus the stamp of certainty that whatever you have agreed is okay. In case there is a disagreement among each of you, all the chief will do is put in writing that one of you is in disagreement, but the succession process must continue.
So guys, after getting the letter from the chief, now you proceed, you find a lawyer or a surveyor who will assist you in doing the filing of the succession. You file the succession for around 30 days, where filing is reported to the Kenya Gazette and the Daily Nation. After 30 days, the letter of administration are issued. After the letter of administration are issued by the court, now you go for the application, you wait for around 6 months. Not around, it's actually 6 months. You wait for 6 months. After 6 months, you apply for the grant. Now, application of the grant, this is where the court summons the heirs and everybody involved in the successors, all the successors are summoned by the court. And after summoning and assuring that everything said by the letter of administration or by the people, the successors, are comfortable with it, the court will now issue a grant, immediate grant. The grant is issued. After the grant is issued, now you proceed to register the grant to the land office. In registering the grant, this is where you fill a form known as LRA 42 and 50. This is the registration of grant, where the administrator will get the estate and transfer to the beneficiaries. After registering the LR 42 or the grant itself, now you are given a title which constitutes of all the beneficiaries in one title. So what you do after getting a title with the beneficiaries, you go for a partition. Let's say it was land, it was involved in land. Let's not say about houses or cars, let's say about lands. If it was a portion of land, maybe around 6 acres, what you will do, you will now go for a partition. So that the grant constitutes of the person with their share. So you go for a board, partition board. This is where you go for a board, you get a surveyor who will do the partition in your land and register the mutation that was drawn during the time of survey. In registration, during registration, this is where you partition, everybody gets his share as its own. Hapo mnaondokeana, everybody gets his part, his portion with its original title. Na mnaondokeana. That's the registration of the mutation. Now, if you are to sell, let's say there was a person who was interested in selling, you can't sell during the process of registration of mutation. You will have to wait for the partition to get your share, then proceed to selling. The cost involved in succession, let's say in case of Kenya Gazette, to get the letter of administration, we will have to incur a cost of around 10,000 during the gazettement, all that. In High Court, during the time of issuing of the grant, during the summoning of the court and all that, the documentation, everything will cost about, say, for 20. From there, we have the registration of the grant. Now the grant issued from the High Court. During the registration, the cost is around 8,000, 8 to 10,000. That is the registration and getting the title. You are issued with the title, one title, containing everyone in the succession, the successors. After the title, now you proceed to board. That's the partition board, so that everyone can get his share. You will have to incur a board you will pay just 1,000 for a board. Then there is a cost that comes in where you cost the surveyor during the partition. The partition, it depends with how you do the partition. Maybe it's around 10,000 per portion. It's around, maybe the successors were 10, so that's 100K. After the partition and issuing of the new numbers, now you go to the registration. In the land office, the registration will cost about maybe, let's say, 5K, depending on the number of portions. Maybe five portions, it will cost around 5,000, depending on the number of portions you have. Then the title, during the registration, to get everyone his title or her title, you will have to pay for a stamp duty, depending with your share. If for example you have an acre in and you want to pay for the stamp duty, maybe it will cost around 25 to 30,000. An eighth, it will cost 10 to 15,000. That depends with the portion you are getting, and that will be your whole cost till the title issuing. Yeah. Myself, for succession, the whole process I charge. If you want the succession to be done until you get a title, one title with all the names of the heirs, that's 80,000. If it's up to one title containing all the persons involved, it's 80,000. My charges. Then if it comes to survey and subdivision and all that, you'll have to add. you have to add some cost depending with the number of portions. If it's 10 portions, you'll have to add 100,000 and the registration fee may be around 10. Okay, in some areas, you don't need the valuation. But if you want, your land can be done a valuation. But in some areas, not in every registry, they encounter valuation. Some registry doesn't have valuation. For example, here in Kirinyaga, we don't do valuation. You go in Embu, there's valuation, there's a must valuation to be done, but in some areas there's no need for a valuation. Yeah, provided your work is done in an appropriate manner, there's no need for a valuation. The minimum time you can take for a succession, it's around, let's say, for the first set, you'll have to, from the time of chief's office, you will have to incur 1 month, 30 days for gazettement. Then you will wait, after the letter of administration are issued, you'll have to wait for 6 months to now apply for a grant, a high court grant. Those are now 7 months. Then you'll have to wait for another around 1 month for registration of the grant and the petition. They're doing the survey work, the registration, yeah, you'll have to wait for. So the appropriate time, let's say for 8 months, you are supposed to be over.
Now, you have the whole idea of the succession. And to add on the cost breakdown, you should know that every lawyer, every surveyor have their different costs, depending on their location and also their expertise. And then another thing, when it comes to costs, what you're paying for is the consultation, document preparation, and representation. Also, there is standard court fees, and as you have heard that the valuation cost depends on your preference and your location. As you have heard, Embu and Kirinyaga are quite different. So other costs that you have to be aware of are miscellaneous costs. These include transport to and from the court, administrative expenses, and any potential unforeseen costs. So you have to be prepared when it comes to cost, any financial preparedness. You have to be prepared to spend some money when it comes to succession. So what's my advice? My advice would be, please, where handling succession, seek professional advice. You will reduce stress, save time, and potential mistakes. And trust me, for every mistake you make, there is a possibility you incur finances in that. So please, if you have no idea what you're doing, seek professional help. This video is just to enlighten you and to tell you what they will be doing when they do that. Do not hesitate to call me or even Surveyor Njohi for any question relating to succession. And I hope that you have learned something. Thank you and see you next time, guys. Cheers.